Dave Palumbo here with Muscle Serpents Daily, and I have a gorgeous stonewash Bredli python around my neck. But they look similar to carpets. They're very red when they're born. This is a recessive trait, actually, the stonewash. These guys are spring breeders. I believe she's full of eggs. I just took her out because she knocked over the water bowl and I want to clean up. I don't want her to lay eggs in a soupy tub. Or I should say cage that's loaded with water, because then the eggs will go bad. So I'm going to put her back, but I wanted to just show you guys how nice she is. These Bredlis have the best, really, personality. I find that of that whole Australian complex, they're just sweethearts, these snakes. And you would think she'd be defensive if she's going to lay eggs, but I don't want to stress her out too much. But we're going to take a look and see some cool stuff today in the facility. It's a little overcast out there. It's raining, so it's not quite as bright as it normally is. Let's see what we got. Eggs on the ground. Hatching eggs. You never know. All right, I just had to come outside. It's raining and overcast, but sometimes you get the best lighting when it's like this out here. And I wanted to show you two special snakes that I just listed on Morph Market if you guys are interested. If you're interested in getting into the Orange Dream Cryptic Ultramel projects, these two males are stellar. They're from 2020. They're probably going to be ready to breed, if not now, and probably by the fall when the breeding season starts. You know, Cryptic is the recessive gene that is allelic to clown, meaning that if you breed the two of them together, you get something called the krypton. It looks a little clownish, but it kind of changes the patterning on the snake, and you get a manta rayish looking pattern. This snake is very typical of that, the way all this craziness is going on here. And you get these white flames up the sides. That's very typical also of Cryptic. Orange Dream obviously makes everything better, right? And we know that Ultramel is one of the best T-positive lines out there. And once again, sometimes albino removes too much melanin. It seems like the Ultramels, the Caramels, the Monarchs remove enough to make things really orangey and looking really cool. But don't take away too much where we lose the contrast. So I have two snakes, these two males I'm putting up right now. This one is an Orange Dream Cryptic Ultramel. So double recessive, and then the incomplete dominant Orange Dream. This male is doing really well. He's pounding small rats every week. And I think he'll be a great addition to any breeding project. This male, if you want to get one gene in further, this is an Orange Dream Pinstripe. And this is Ultramel, of course, and this is what I'm calling het Cryptic. It could be visual Cryptic. I'm calling it 100% het Cryptic, but I don't see the big ear stripes, because that's what we usually see with these, especially with these pinstripes. You see a huge ear stripe. I don't see it, so I'm calling this 100% het Cryptic. Really nice looking snake, very orange. You like orange, the pinstripe adds another level of orange to these snakes, and you can even see the orange in here from the Orange Dream, and then you get this really like tan yellow, coloration along the dorsal striping. The pinstripe, I've kept back a couple of pinstripe Ultramel Cryptic Orange Dreams, and they're gorgeous. I love this. The mother is actually a pinstripe that I got from Vin Russo years ago. He didn't even know there was Cryptic in his collection, like a lot of us didn't know. So we're gonna take you out. I'm gonna put these guys in the wet grass so they can kind of just feel their own oats, or sow their own oats, so to speak. I don't know if that's even the right expression, but it's such a beautiful day out here. The colors are so vibrant out here that I had to bring them out, even though I'm getting drizzled on here in Cape Coral, Florida. I always start in the same place. Now I'm sitting on the floor right here. And why am I sitting on the floor? Because I want to go over a topic that I have a theory, okay? And I don't know if it's true or not. If any of you guys have been following the SCALELESS head project and the SCALELESS ball python project, single gene form is known as the SCALELESS head. The super form of the super SCALELESS is the recessive, which gives you a completely scaleless animal. Say in the incomplete dominant form, where you get the SCALELESS head, you're missing a couple scales in the head. Some snakes express more, some snakes express less. And, depending on some snakes, you can't even tell, but the way most of us tell is that you can go to the scale that's, we call the caudal scale, the last scale, and if you see the scale right here, it's split. On every scaleless head animal, that scale will always be split. Otherwise, it's normal. If it's normal, then it's not a scaleless head animal. You can see this animal here has a last scale that's one complete scale. So that's a way of telling, even if you can't see the scaleless or the scales missing on the head. For instance, look at this. You see the scale. You can see the scales missing on the head on this one, right there. That's a banana. But on other ones, you might not see it. So anyway, to make things more complicated, there was a second line of scaleless head animals, or so they say. It's called the microscale. Kevin McGurley had worked with that extensively. We have, right here actually, I produced this snake. This is a MICROSCALE banana Mojave GHI, really beautiful animal. We produced it 2 years ago. Here is a super microscale. So this is a completely scaleless animal. This is a super microscale het clown, believe it or not, female. These are both females from different clutches, but both the microscale line. Now, here's a third animal, also a microscale, from the microscale litter. This snake has no missing scales from its head, and I just showed you its caudal or last scale there. It's not split. So this is not a scaleless head animal. However, if you feel the texture, and you can almost, you can't see it on camera, obviously, I mean you can't, but it feels like it's a microscale. Yet it's not scaleless head. What does that mean? Well, we've always thought that microscale meant that it was a line that was missing scales on its head and that had this beaded appearance, okay, or this microscaly appearance. I'm seeing now the microscale separate from the scaleless head. And the reason I can verify that is because I look at that last scale and I see that it's not split. So my new theory is that I think that the microscale, okay, gene and the scaleless head gene are two separate genes. And in fact, that the the scaleless head aspect of the microscale project is the same scaleless head that we see in just a regular scaleless head. So they're compatible, I believe, and I'm testing it out this year, and I think that it's the exact same gene. And I think the microscale itself is a separate gene. Now, is it a line-bred trait, or is it recessive, or is it incomplete dominant like we would assume it to be? I think it's incomplete dominant, and I think it's actually completely separate from scaleless head. The reason we see them together is because everyone breeds everything together like that. But I am seeing here a microscale feeling animal from that litter, from the microscale litter, that is not scaleless head and does not have the traits of being scaleless head, so I have to assume that it didn't inherit that gene, but yet it's still microscale. Am I right? I don't know. Who knows? I'm just throwing this theory out there. I'd like to know your feedback out there from other people who've worked with the microscale project. Are you seeing microscale separate from the microscale scaleless head? Can you see a difference? Are you seeing that? I am seeing it, which is telling me that this could be a separate gene. Because the microscale itself really is interesting. It feels cool. It changes the look. This is a regular snake. It does not look normal. It changes the pattern of these snakes and the color. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Look at how unusual this looks. Now, granted, there's probably Mojave and GHI in this banana, but that little beady mini scale reflects light differently, and it changes the look of these snakes. So, if it is true that the microscale is separate from the scaleless head gene, there's a lot of work to be done, because I think getting the microscale into other projects is going to be really pretty cool. Now, if microscale is indeed incomplete dominant, is there a super microscale? And indeed, if that super microscale, according to my theory, would not be a scaleless animal, it would be something different. Or maybe it's like a dominant gene where you either got it, if you have one copy or two copies, it's the same, kind of like Pinstripe. I don't know. I'm throwing it out there for you guys, but it's interesting to see. Like I said, I love genetics, and these animals are just incredible. I mean, you got this super microscale here. Now, maybe this isn't microscale. Maybe this is just a super scaleless head, and this animal just happens to have both of those genes. I don't know. All I know is that this animal is not scaleless head, but yet it feels completely microscale, and I've had a lot of people validate by feeling it. Even Pablo just felt it. He's like, absolutely microscale feeling. So it's kind of interesting. You know, it could be a line bred trait. Maybe MICROSCALE just is in this line of animals, and it has nothing to do with genetics in the sense that it could be a polygenic trait, line bred, passed down according to some snakes get it, some don't. But I don't know. Something to think about, guys. I always like to throw some thought-provoking, questions out to you and maybe get some great answers from you. Let me know in the comments below. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's edition of Muscle Serpents Daily. Hopefully you guys got a nice little peek into some of the cool stuff we got going on. I don't know if you agree with me with the MICROSCALE being separate from the scaleless head gene. It's something to think about. We got to create much more thinking because we don't know what's going on. There's a lot of genetic stuff that's a mystery still, and we're trying to elucidate that by the more data we collect. I want to hear your guys' data out there because I could be crazy, or you might say, you know what? I noticed the same thing. If you guys want to get involved with that Orange Dream Ultramel Cryptic project, also hit me up, let me know. I'm more than happy to walk you through that. For now, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, hit that like button. We'll see you back tomorrow morning.